Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today, as you can see, it's just me, and I've done this a few times on my own now, but no matter how many times I film on my own, it's just a bit empty without Elle, but you know. So today I'm going to be filming a video which I'm quite nervous about. I mean, this topic that I'm going to be talking about today is gonna show you the more like reserved and quiet and like nervous side of me. This video has been requested because I recently spoke in a Q&A about how I live with my nan and I was raised by my grandparents, and I knew by answering that question that it would spark a lot of other questions. I did touch on the fact that I lost my mum when I was younger, and I also lost my granddad just over a year ago. So from that video, it sparked a few questions as to how I deal with death or loss, and if I have any advice for people that have recently gone through it, because I've learnt to deal with it for nearly 11 years. So I put on our joint Instagram, it's Syd And Ell. I just said, send me some questions or let me know how you'd want me to talk about it, and I said I didn't know whether I would. I still am sat here now like, am I doing the right thing? But I think I am strong enough to do it. I mean, I'm nervous. I'm sat here like, oh my god. But seeing so many of you guys comment and message me, and like that was just enough to make me feel like I had to do it. A lot of the questions were the same or similar, so I'm going to summarise a lot of things and then I might answer some individual questions, but we'll just see. I'm just going to go with the flow. This hasn't really got an aim. So before I start, I just want to quickly talk about my personal story. Ever since I was really young, so like a toddler, I was raised by my grandparents, even when my mum was alive. Yeah, so it's hard, man. It's hard. I was raised by my grandparents. I've always lived in the house I live in now, which is my nan and granddad's, and that's just for reasons that my mum wasn't able to raise her own children, and my little brother was the exact same. So we were in our mum and dad's life, but like other kids, we wouldn't see them as much as normal. So from a really early stage, I had a different relationship with my mum than other people. So I'm not going to say that helped with when I lost her. I lost her at the age of 9 in 2006, and my little brother was about 4 or 5. And I'm not going to say that just because we didn't live with her, we didn't see her every day, I'm not going to say that was easier. Maybe in some ways, because she wasn't in our everyday life, but it was still really hard. Anyone that knows my nan and knew my granddad knows that they're the most amazing people ever. They gave up like the later stages of their life when they should just be like chilling, like enjoying retirement, just to bring us up, and they didn't have to do that. They just chose to. My brother and I will be eternally grateful for that. Yeah, we've just had we've not had any different life to anyone else. I've grown up alongside my friends, like really close, and there seems to be no different way that they've been raised than we've been raised. So I was 9 years old. I'm 20 now, so nearly 11 years ago, and I remember it, but it's a bit of a blur because of when it was, and I don't know if that many 20-year-olds remember exactly what happens when they're 9 years old, but I remember the feelings, and then thinking like, where's my mum gone, and why is she not here anymore, and what do I tell the other kids at school when they ask? And I've always had that worry, like that still gives me like nerves now. I'm like, oh, don't ask the mum question. Obviously I'm fine with answering it now, but it used to be a bit of a, like, kids don't really realise. They're like, oh, where's your mum? And then you're just like, that was the first loss in my life. And then when I was 18 years old, I lost my granddad. And yeah, so I lost my granddad nearly, it'll be 2 years in December, and oh, I don't want to cry. That was a lot harder. Some of you will be really shocked to say that for me saying that losing my granddad was harder than losing my mum, but you've got to remember that my grandparents raised me, and my granddad was like the father figure in my life, and I had double the time with him that I had with my mum. Like, I lost my mum at 9 and then I lost my granddad at 18, so I had 9 more years with him, and I lived with him. I was with him day in, day out. He was my world. And yeah, when you're older you realise stuff more, and stuff hits you more. It's a whole other ball game when you get older. One of the main questions was, like, this was said in so many different ways, but I've just kind of summarised it. How did you deal with death? And guys, if I'm looking down, it's because I've wrote notes on my phone. Just one of the main ways I dealt with it was because I knew I had to be strong for others around me. I have quite a strong personality, so how I deal with something may be like bounced off by others. So I knew I had to be strong for others around me, especially because I was the oldest out of my brother and myself. I had to kind of like set an example and be strong for him, because if I was to sit around and cry all day, he's gonna do the same. And also for my nan, especially like when my granddad died, well, not especially, me personally, especially for when my granddad died, I had to be strong for my nan because she lost her husband, and then there's like a big hole missing in her life where she's gone from having 4 people in the house to just her and then the 2 kids. But then obviously it was still hard for her when my mum died because that's her daughter, but she had the support of my granddad and then a lot of other people as well. And then we were kids, so we couldn't really be much of a strong support system, but I guess she had to be strong for us then. So another way that I deal with it is I always think, especially about my granddad, because he was such a strong personality, and I just picture him now, like he always used to be like, what are you crying for? Stop being a wimp. And he's literally gonna be like, why are you sitting in front of a camera crying right now? Idiot. But I always think like, don't sit there and cry and get upset, because my mum and granddad wouldn't want to be looking down and being like, oh, she's getting upset again. Like, they'd want me to carry on with my life, keep going, and not just sit and mope around and waste my life, because they'd want me to be living it to my fullest as well as everyone else, and they'd want to see me upbeat and being strong for everyone else, because I don't know, I feel like I've got the job to just keep smiling and keep everyone together, so I try not to cry too much in front of family, and if I do, I kind of like run away and shut myself off and just cry on my own. But I think that's just because I've got a guard up and I don't like anyone seeing me being hurt, because it makes me feel weak. I just want to seem strong and be strong, because if I feel like others think I'm strong, then I feel stronger. Another thing that helps so much is having a support system around you. Telling people around you is really important. So if they know, if they've been told straight up, then I think that's kind of like the nudge to say like, don't say anything, or just completely talk about something different. Well, that's what I'd do. If I knew that, and if I'd been given the heads up that someone's going through something really bad, I'd think, okay, right, what can I talk about that's completely different to take their mind off it? So you've got to let other people know around you. It's so hard, like when you get older, because you kind of have to do stuff for yourself. So when I lost my granddad, I just started uni, and I literally was like, I can't believe I've just started uni, I'm gonna have to quit. I'm doing it for my granddad. He was so proud when I got into uni, and don't do it again. And I just wanna do it for him, and I've got 1 year left and I'm gonna do it. And yeah, but when I went into uni, I was like, oh my god, I've got projects due in, and you just don't feel strong enough. But they understand. I had to go talk to my tutor. I went in the office, bawled my eyes out, told her everything. You can get extensions for your work and everything, and I'm not saying that's an excuse to get extensions and stuff. Out of 4 of my major projects, I had 1 extension for my smallest project. Like, I didn't want to use losing someone as an excuse. I didn't want people to think that I had like a cheat kind of thing, and I know that's really stupid. Like, I was entitled to it. It was like, it rocked my whole world upside down. I felt strength. Like, even though I felt like, oh my god, the last place I want to be is surrounded by people at uni when I just want to lay in bed and cry, I felt strength to like push through and make everyone proud and just prove that like this is not gonna knock me down, and I'm gonna prove to my granddad even more that I can do this, and I'm gonna do it for him. And I can't wait to the day I graduate, and just then I'll sit there and cry because I would have been holding it in for 3 years then. Having a good group of friends is really important. I couldn't have done it without my 2 best friends along the way, Ellie and Summer. They were literally like such, like, I don't think they even realised how important they were to me, but just having them as an escape, like, at the time it didn't even feel like they were helping me, but now looking back, just having a run away and just getting away from all your thoughts is so important. Around the time my granddad was coming close to the end of his life, I actually met my boyfriend, and I don't think he knows how, like, I think he realises like how much of a rock he was for me. And I literally think like God was on my side, and he put Dad in my life for a reason, and it like breaks my heart that my granddad never got to meet him, but I met him at the best time because he was such a distraction, and that sounds so horrible, but I needed that. And just like when I was feeling really sad, I just had like the high of thinking I had a new boyfriend and I had someone so special in my life, and I really do think that he came into my life for a reason. And I really just wish that my granddad could have had a bit longer to meet him, because I just know that he'd love him so much. Meeting Dan around that time was just the best thing that could have happened for me. I would have not been able to do a bit half as well as I did if it wasn't for him, and I don't even know if he knows that. Why the hell did I not get tissues? But another main question was, are you still grieving, and does it ever stop? So I really think that people grieve in different ways. Some people want to cry all day long for as long as they need to, until they feel like they're ready to face the day with a smile. Some people don't want to leave the house and don't want to face people. Some people are fine, or they act fine, and then they let it build up, and then one day they'll like explode and just cry. I personally think I run away from things, so I don't really let myself get too upset, and if I do feel like I can feel the upset growing in me, I kind of run away from it. So I will just be like, I'll ring out and I'll be like, right, we need to go out, and I just run, and I kind of am like, I just let it build up, but I don't let it build up so I explode. I do let myself cry every so often, but I do like running away from it, and I do like to cry in private, and I don't like discussing it really. Every so often I feel like I need to talk about it, so me and my nan will talk for hours and hours and hours, but then I'm good. Like, then I don't want to talk about it again. So everyone has different ways. You just need to, if you're trying to support someone, you need to find out their ways of grieving and you need to work with it. So if they say to you, I don't want to talk about it, then you need to respect that and not talk about it. For people that say, does grieving ever stop? There's no time limit for grieving. I don't think that grieving is something that ever goes. It's just something that you learn to live with and you learn how to handle. People say time heals, and yes, I do think time does help, but I don't think it fully heals. It's always going to be there. There's always going to be that missing part of you that went when that person left you, and that's life. I feel like every time you grieve, it just is a reminder that you were so blessed to have an amazing person in your life, and it's just a reminder to keep going and keep being strong and keep showing them people up there that you are doing it for them and yourself, and you are gonna smash up life and yeah, gonna keep on smiling and make everyone proud. So someone asked me how to help someone else if they're grieving, if they've lost someone, and I did just touch on this slightly, I think. I feel like when I'm talking, I'm literally in such a bubble, I can't even remember what I just said. I've never had to help anyone grieve other than family, but that's for the same reasons as me. But if I'm thinking from personal experience, I kind of like people to know how I want to deal with it. So I'd rather someone come straight out in the beginning and say, right, do you want to talk about it? Or do you want me to help you stay distracted, not talk about it, carry on with your life, and yeah, we'll talk about when you want. And my answer to that would be, let's not talk about it, and then we can carry on. And then if there comes a time when I want to speak about it, then they're ready to help me and talk to me. So I feel like if you're like your boyfriend or your friend has just lost someone, definitely ask them how they want you to help. Like, they might want space, and don't get upset about that. Some people do want to be alone, but it won't be forever. They won't want to be alone forever. And if it's for a really, really long time and you seem a bit worried about them, then slowly start making ways towards them and just reassure them that you're only there for them. You only want to help. And again, time will help a lot. It won't completely heal, but it will help, and you just need to be patient. It's not your problem, it's their problem, and you just need to respect them. Someone asked if I went to the funerals. I did not go to my mum's funeral because I was too young. Not too young in the way where I wasn't allowed. It was just decided that I was 9 years old, I was a kid, I was already hurt, and did I need this big day to question even more why my mum was no longer here? I really respect the decision that was made, and I'm happy that I didn't go. I mean, funerals they are celebrating life, they're supposed to be a happiness in that sense, but it is a really draining emotional day, and it's a lot for a child. I do really quickly want to tell you guys a little story, and I think this is a really good idea if you know any kids that have lost anyone and the parents are like umming and ahhing whether to take them to the funeral. My nan actually organised with right, I always get this wrong. Is it priest or is it priest? The guy that works in the church. Guys, don't laugh at me, I'm not religious, I'm not christened, I don't know what it is. But the guy that works for the church that does funerals, they organised for him to come round my house. All the kids were invited, so all my cousins are younger than me, close family members like my uncle. And basically, he came round, he put on a mini funeral for the kids. We have a tree planted in my garden, which we call Mum's tree, and that is a tree that we planted when we did this funeral at home. We also have our ashes in the garden, so he put on a ceremony for us kids in more of a child-friendly way, and I think that was amazing, and I'm so glad that we have that. So if people do say, did we go to the funeral, I didn't actually go to the funeral, but we had our own version. It was more special to us because it was in our home. I had memories of my mum in that house. All my cousins can like always come round, and I always feel like she's really close by because it's just in the garden. But when it's her birthday and Mother's Day, and also my granddad's ashes are there, so when it's Father's Day, when it's my granddad's birthday, when it's my nan and granddad's anniversary, we all like go to the tree and we let off balloons. We just feel like they're still here, and it's the most beautiful thing ever. This tree is huge. It's just really lovely thing to have, and it's our version of like a home grave, but without it being too morbid, and more of a happiness than a sad place. Another question is, how do you explain when people ask about your situation? So it depends on how well I know the person. Like a complete stranger, I will just really skim the situation. So I'll say, unfortunately I lost my mum when I was younger and I live with my grandparents. That's pretty much it. And a lot of people know to stop there and not ask any more questions, but then you do get the occasional person that asks more. But I'm old enough and I'm sassy enough to say like, I'm really sorry, but like that's none of your business. Yeah, if it's someone a little bit closer, I might go in a little bit more detail, but it's one of them things, like I'm used to it now. I'm used to telling the story. I am proud of the life I have. I'm happy. Obviously I would love to have my mum and my granddad here, but I'm still happy with my life nevertheless, and I'm still going about every day trying to make them proud, and everything I do I'm acting like they're still here watching me, but I know they are looking over me. And that links to one other thing that I can't remember how it's worded, but that was a question. It's like, do you know that they're close by? And 100% I know that they're close by. I see white butterflies all the time, and some of you guys might not know this, but white butterflies are supposedly linked with death. And when I'm having bad days, I see white butterflies all the time. The other day on the 4th of September was my mum's birthday, and it was a horrible, horrible day. It was disgusting. Like, not just like it was horrible because it's my mum's birthday. The weather was gross. It was raining. It was miserable. And sometimes I think, oh, maybe the butterflies are just out because it's sunny, it's summery, it's pretty. But I was out in town getting a balloon for her birthday, and it was horrible. It was raining, and I was walking back to my car, and just before I got in my car, a white butterfly like flew straight over my head, and I was like, oh my god. But no one can ever tell me butterflies aren't linked with death, because they 100% are. Whether that's a true story or not, that is what comforts me. So that's another thing, actually. Find stuff that comforts you and like gives you a reason to smile. Okay, I'm going to finish off with one more question because there is so many, but I hope that some of these questions have kind of answered or helped or just given you an insight. It's quite hard to tell someone how they're going to have to deal with death. Like, you don't actually know how you're going to deal with it until it happens. Everyone's different. Everyone deals with stuff differently. You just need to really be strong and keep reminding yourself how much they loved you, that they'd want you to be happy, and they'd want you to be doing everything that you want to do to make them proud. So the last question I'm going to finish on is, if you know someone will pass away soon, how do you deal with it? So I actually knew this with my granddad. So my granddad was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal prostate cancer, which is the highest, worst cancer that you can get. So terminal means that you are not going to be cured from it, and this is going to kill you. You You just have to spend every minute with them, and you need to just tell them everything you want to tell them. You need to give them as many hugs and kisses as possible. You need to just make the most of every minute, because time is so precious and you can't get time back. You just have to treasure every single moment. Try not to get too upset about it while they're still here, because you don't want them to feel bad, because they will feel bad. They'll feel like they're putting this pain onto you, and that is not what you want to be doing. You just want their last few days, weeks, months to be as happy and positive and special as possible. So just keep telling them how much you love them, be there every minute as much as you can, and just listen to them. Just let them talk, let them tell you stories that they've always wanted to tell you. Sit there and listen. Just be there. Just be there as much as you can. Yeah, as I'm talking, I can't really remember what I'm saying, so I don't know if I'm going to watch this back and think, oh my god, you've literally not covered anything. But we'll see. I don't want any of you guys who have lost anyone to think, oh my god, I want to be as strong as Syd, I want to be as happy as Syd. You've got to remember, YouTube is a bit of a front. It's always upbeat. Always. Most of the time it's upbeat. We choose what we edit, we choose what we put on screen, we choose what we upload. It's not always our personalities. We have down days, we have crappy days, we have days where we don't want to film. We have it all. We are normal. Just don't forget, we are humans, and if any of you guys ever want to message me, if you're going through anything, or you just want a little bit more advice, if I've missed anything out, maybe I can do part 2 one day, then please let me know. And yeah, I've just rambled. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in our next video. I love you so much.